Lucy E Campbell Williams is one of the most fascinating and significant gospel song composers in the first half of the 20th century. Hymn writer, singer, music director, educator, and mentor to scores of African American church musicians, Campbell, one of 9 children, was the daughter of formerly enslaved African Americans in Mississippi. She rose to be one of the most important figures of her era in African American gospel song and the most prominent voice in shaping musical culture of the National Baptist Convention, USA, for nearly a half a century. She was elected musical director of the Sunday School and the Baptist Training Union, a position she held from 1916 until her death in 1963. Shortly after her birth, her father was killed in a railroad accident, forcing her mother with 9 children to move to Memphis, Tennessee in search of work. Lucy was not yet 2 years old. Because of their dire financial situation, only her older sister Laura was given piano lessons. Listening to Laura's lessons, Lucy taught herself to play and write out songs in manuscript. Following her graduation from high school in 1899, where Lucy was valedictorian, Lucy got her first job at age 14 at the Carnes Grammar School and later held a position at Cortrecht High School, later named after Booker T. Washington, where she taught history for 33 years. The reputation of Miss Lucy, as she was known, rests primarily in her role as a feisty and authoritative woman who exercised a great deal of power in the National Baptist Convention. In this role, she introduced a new song each year at the national conventions from 1930 to 1962, with many of her songs becoming standards for their gatherings. Because of her skills in organization and leadership, she auditioned everyone who wanted to sing on the program. No one sang before the convention without her approval. She helped develop, both as a composer and promoter, the newer gospel song tradition of her era. As significant as her leadership was with the National Baptist Convention, her witness extended beyond the Baptist context. Luvinia E. George, one of her former students, notes, "She was a woman who made politicians think religion." Her appointments included an invitation by President Franklin D. Roosevelt to attend the 1938 Negro Child Welfare Conference as president of the Tennessee Negro Teachers Association, 1941 through 1946, where she fought for equal pay and benefits for black teachers. She was also vice president of the American Teachers Association and served on the National Policy Planning Commission of the National Education Association in 1946. In 1984, the Smithsonian Institution dedicated an entire conference to her. Additionally, the Lucy E. Campbell Elementary School in Memphis is also named after her. Campbell began publishing songs in 1919. 2 of these were widely sung and continue to be included in collections. They are Something Within and We Will Walk Through the Valley. Her most published song is He Understands, He'll Say Well Done, which was published in 1933. Each stanza indicates that no matter what happens when you have done your best, even when you seem to fail, God understands. Stanza 1 states, "Be not dismayed when friends don't believe you." Stanza 2, identifying with the ministry of Jesus, asserts that when Jesus Christ was misunderstood, his response was not my will, but thine be done, in Luke 22:42. Stanza 3 assures the singer that when this life of labor is ended, and the reward of the race you have won, God has prepared sweet rest for the faithful. The final stanza is one of encouragement. But if you try and fail in your trying, hands sore and scarred from the work you've begun, take up your cross, run quickly to meet him. He'll understand, he'll say, well done. One can imagine how many African Americans attending these conventions felt when, in the pre-civil rights era, they sang this final stanza in their capacities as industrial laborers, sanitation workers, domestic employees, and farmers, professions that scarred and bruised their hands. The first stanza begins in the present tense, he understands, and he'll say well done. The final stanza and refrain conclude with, he'll understand. emphasizing the shift from this life to the next. When all 4 stanzas and the refrain are sung, the singer will have been reassured 7 times by the words, "Well done." The refrain carries the theme and drives it home. "Oh, when I come to the end of my journey, weary of life and the battle is won, carrying the staff and the cross of redemption, he'll understand and say, well done." Recording artists Black and White frequently included this song on their albums. Those artists included Pat Boone, Johnny Cash, James Cleveland, Anne McCrary, Hank Snow, Tennessee Ernie Ford, and Sister Rosetta Tharpe. On one occasion, Campbell's protege, J. Robert Bradley, performed the hymn at a church service, and 100 persons came forward immediately to unite with the congregation. This song is also a favorite of male quartets in various styles, even in white country music. Recent scholarship recognizes that Lucy Campbell was a pioneering woman in gospel music, a field at that time dominated by men such as William Herbert Brewster, Thomas Dorsey, and Charles Tinley. She predated Dorsey as a gospel song composer and assisted him in his transition from blues to a fresh voice in gospel music. Roxanne Regina Reed argues that gospel music provided women with an alternative to traditional male-centered pulpit ministry. Furthermore, gospel music eventually paved the way for more female than male performers, the latter who were more closely identified with jazz and blues. Thus, gospel music performance allowed women to manifest spiritual leadership roles and became for women a mode for expressing and attaining power. Though a powerful, blunt, at times assertive and exacting leader, her compositions, mentoring, planning, motivating, and visionary leadership were not for self-aggrandizement or personal gain, but composed a gospel music ministry corollary to male-dominated preaching that empowered African Americans for spiritual service and perseverance in the pursuit of social and political justice.